They're about to drag you. They're about to drag you in these comments. In these comments. In these comments. Oh, they're about to drag you. Hey, they're about to drag you in these comments. In these comments. Screenshots say whole thread on fire. You type too quick, now they all inspired. Refresh, reload, naming every line. You hit send once, now you're trending right. They about to drag you. Hey, they're about to drag you. Hey, in these comments. In these comments. Oh, yeah. They about to drag you. They about to drag you. Oh, in these comments. In these comments. Laugh, reacts, flood. Every clap on beat. One wrong word. Now they quote your tweet. Say you did too much. Say you're not that guy. You can log off now, but receipts don't die. They about to drag you. They about to drag you. In these comments. In these comments. Hey, hey, hey. They about to drag you. They about to drag you. Oh, in these comments. In these comments.
Okay, I think I'm not muted now. What's going on, y'all? What is going on, y'all? Happy Let 'em Fight Day. We letting them fight down. I'm gonna toss pretty quickly to my man Kornacki, but I want to give y'all the code for today over at thepeoplesgetup.com. Dirty Packs 526. DIRTYPAX 526. That's for 20% off all drinkware, and of course the Let 'em Fight collection. All right, let's see what Steve Kornacki and them talking about. Shout out to all the Mod Squad. I'll have my response to how this goes, but I have some other things I want to get into today too, because Ohio, we're gonna have to talk about it. Toledo, I had a whole Toledo video that I recorded. That's how bad Ohio is doing right now. And I also had a button that I want to hit on. If you guys haven't checked out the video that I made about Jackson Dart, the quarterback of the Giants, and a conversation about free speech and the limitations that are placed upon black athletes, but also black celebrities in general. What happens when we consolidate our power, leading to the SEC boycott and the Congressional Black Caucus talk. That video went out a little earlier today. Miss Ray will put the link in the chat, and I'll throw it in there as well. And I also had some conversation, because I noticed a lot of creators have been talking about what's going on the platform on YouTube. So I had some thoughts about that as well. So I'll get into that. Sinshasa. Welcome, Sinshasa. Hopefully I got that one. I think I did. Lieb, welcome to you, Lieb. Welcome. And thanks to TP. Shout out to TP. I'm glad you got that message from earlier today in the premiere that we were, in fact, going to have a live. So I'm going to be in the chat. Let's see what they're talking about.
Growth here, and again, I just want to call up for you. Well, actually, we just got Tarrant County. Okay. Tarrant County. This is where Fort Worth is, immediately next door. Again, when you see that much come in, that means all the early vote, the stuff that was cast days before Election Day, they can count that all, report that all out at once. Ken Paxton's getting 59% of the vote in the early vote. How did this county go in the preliminary? This was a Cornyn county. This was one of Cornyn's best counties, best big counties in the state of Texas in the preliminary.
And he's getting blown out. And again, as I said,
The early vote is supposed to be the Cornyn-friendly vote. So what's going to happen here in Tarrant County and these other counties, they are now going to start counting up the vote that was cast today. In the preliminary, that was a more Paxton-friendly vote. So if that, holds here, if past is prologue, then this number will get better for Paxton. So immediately, if you're Cornyn, you've fallen behind big statewide. Look at that. 7% of the vote has come in. Paxton with a more than 20-point advantage over Cornyn. And again, these are some big population areas that we've seen. We've seen Denton, we've seen Tarrant, okay, a little bit from Rockwall here. Look, we're getting down now in Jefferson County. This is where the city of Beaumont, Texas is, okay, on the Gulf here, getting by the Gulf here. Again, Paxton, this was a Cornyn county. Again, this was one of the best. I just said Tarrant was one of the best Cornyn counties in the preliminary. This county was even better, okay, for Cornyn. Cornyn beat Paxton here solidly in the preliminary. But again, looking at the early vote right here, Paxton's absolutely trouncing him. So right away, this thing we just got quite a bit of clarity here immediately. I mean, how's that for record time? In about 2 minutes, this thing just clarified in a massive way. Now we're going to start to watch these fill in. A lot of what you're seeing here, there's 254 counties in the state. A lot of these are smaller, although Kendall County, again, this is fast growing right outside San Antonio here. And again, you see Paxton. Now, Paxton had done well here in the preliminary. Paxton had beaten Cornyn by a small amount here in the preliminary. And again, that's just exploded. 64-36, the early vote. And again, supposed to be the Cornyn-friendly vote. We're seeing this everywhere. We're seeing Williamson County. Look at this. Oh, my goodness. If you are Paxton, you are joyous with what you're seeing right now. If you're Cornyn, you are not. Williamson County, again, this was one of Cornyn's, we've seen 3 of Cornyn's best from the preliminary, and he's getting clobbered in the early vote. Okay? Jefferson, Tarrant, Williamson, these were about as good as it got for John Cornyn in the preliminary, getting absolutely clobbered. 10% of the vote is now in. Let me just let this fill in as I speak here, because again, Dallas County, you see the color changed. Cornyn did, even this, if you're Cornyn's dreadful news. Dallas County was his landslide county. It's one of the 10 biggest counties, one of the 5 biggest counties, that Republican vote producing counties in Texas. Cornyn, this was pretty much a landslide for Cornyn over Paxton in the preliminary. And you can see in the early vote, he is eking out, Cornyn is, a lead here of 1.5 points. And again, we say the early vote is the Cornyn-friendly vote. It certainly was in the preliminary. And if that's the case again, then this advantage can evaporate when that same day vote comes in. So it would take 13% of the vote. This is coming in real fast. And again, what you're seeing in Texas here, as these counties come in, they report out that early vote first. And it can be long pauses till you start getting that same day vote in some of these places. But we have gotten a very clear picture early on. Again, Kaufman County here, you're in that Metroplex area, sort of getting to the outer fringes here of the Metroplex, but fast growing. And again, Ken Paxton leading here in the early vote. And I'm looking at, I was going to explain all of this to you, this sheet that I'm looking at, I was going to explain all of it to you at the start, but this happened so quickly here. Just take a look here. This was actually a decent Paxton County in the preliminary, but this is going much better for him. We're seeing that everywhere. Zoom out, 13%. Paxton's lead is 17 points here over Cornyn statewide. And again, you're just seeing this pattern everywhere. A lot of these are smaller counties here in terms of population that we're starting to get some numbers from. But I'm just seeing if anything else here particularly sizable has come in.
Nueces popped in. You also have Bowdoin 33 congressional district when you have
this
Galveston
is
where, just popped in.
Yep, this is where Corpus Christi is. Sort of the coastal Bend area here. And again, Cornyn won this county in the preliminary, trounced. The story hasn't changed anywhere we've looked. So let me pause here and try to just take a little big picture here to, I think you can all see clearly what's happening here as this starts to fill in. Texas is a split poll closing state, 254 counties. These 2 are in the Mountain Time Zone. Everything else is in the central time zone. So what can happen here is, and is happening, is all of this can fill in this 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock hour right now. No declaration gets made by our decision desk in terms of characterizing the race, calling the race, anything like that, until all the polls in the state are closed. And the polls are going to be open here until 9 o'clock Eastern in these two counties. Okay, so that's what's happening here. So there will be no characterization from the decision desk in this 8 to 9 o'clock hour. So we could just talk about, what we're seeing though in these results. Boy, they are coming in super fast. Okay, Brazoria. Okay, yeah. Wow. Here's one. Now, this is the Houston area right here. Okay, Brazoria County. And again, 2/3 of the vote. This was a pretty good place for Ken Paxton in the preliminary, but now it's just what a landslide this is for him right here. We mentioned again in that preliminary, it was Paxton, there was Cornyn. The major third candidate in the preliminary was Wesley Hunt. He's a congressman from Harris County, from the Houston area. One of the questions was these counties in the Houston area, how are they going to look without without Hunt in the picture? Hunt had endorsed Ken Paxton after Trump had. Galveston County. Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah, this was. Go back out here. 16% of the vote. So just you're getting the picture. But what you have here. Okay, what I did to get ready for this. Now, I take you through these quickly here. We are going to have an update. By the way we do these, if you've been watching, News Now, our streaming channel. Gotti Schwartz's show is on right now. They want to check in. They're going to check in about 3 minutes. So you will see that hit. You'll watch Gotti throw to me, and we'll do that a couple times here tonight. I want to tell you, there are congressional races here. As soon as we finish this hit, we're going to look in on the congressional races because I think that's where some of the action really might be shifting right now. But just before we do that hit, I'll explain to really put in starkly what this is that we're looking at right now. You just looked at that preliminary back in March. Remember, John Cornyn finished first in the preliminary. Okay, he got 42% of the vote statewide. Paxton got 40.5% of the vote statewide in that preliminary. Okay, and then the other candidates got the rest of the vote. So if you adjusted the Cornyn and Paxton vote in that preliminary, kind of proportionally, okay, I basically created targets, benchmarks here for each candidate. And just based on that, because it was close to a tie between them. Cornyn had a slight edge. So in a county, right, like Galveston County, okay, there was a slight advantage for Paxton over Cornyn in the preliminary. The adjusted vote in the preliminary was Paxton 54%. He's running at 72% in the early vote. Again, supposed to be the Cornyn-friendly vote. Okay, right down here in Brazoria County, Paxton's running at 71%. What was the adjusted, his share of the adjusted two-way vote was 52% of the vote in the preliminary. Okay, 20 points better. And again, this is probably not even his best batch of votes you're looking at right here. So Dallas, I mentioned Dallas County. Cornyn won it. What was Cornyn's share in the preliminary in Dallas County? One of the giants in the state. He got 61%. He's running 10 points under that. And again, what's supposed to be his strong suit here. I had mentioned Denton. It was the first thing that came in. What was Paxton's a two-way share in the preliminary here? He had won it with 50. Sorry about that. Never remember if I have it on or off. He had won it with 51. He's now up at 62. So that's what you're seeing. I mean, it's a very, we could even find some of the small counties that are coming in. Let's go. I mean, here, for example, check Mitchell County. I just kind of picked it at random here. Cornyn got 62% of the two-way vote compared to Cornyn in the preliminary, running at 77%. Right next door here, Nolan. What was it? Nolan was a Cornyn county. He got 57% in the preliminary. So the pattern here is just everywhere we're looking. Let's Hayes County. This is a big one just south of Austin here. This was Cornyn country in the preliminary. Cornyn got 54% of the two-way vote here, now just 40. So you can see it. We got a sixth of the vote in basically now statewide. That pattern is pretty unmistakable. I know we're going to be going to News Now. We'll do this hit for News Now. How much time do I have till that? About a minute. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to, if we're seeing this Metroplex vote, that means, in fact, I'll do it very quickly. That means we got, 33 is what I was trying to press there. Yeah, that means we also have this happening. We'll revisit this after the News Now hit. This is all in Dallas County. This is the Democratic primary. The incumbent Julie Johnson, Colin Allred, who previously represented sort of this area, got caught up in the redistricting drama, trying to get a seat back against the woman who succeeded him. Allred had led in the preliminary here over Johnson, and now you can see here in the early vote a 10-point advantage for Allred over Johnson. Johnson will have to turn this around with the same-day vote, which, again, we expect is going to be much smaller than the early vote. She's going to have to run up landslide margins over Allred when the election day vote gets counted here. Otherwise, she will become a former member of Congress. She will be defeated in this primary by a former member of Congress. Let me go back here to the Senate race statewide. Okay, about 18%. Are we coming up on that hit? We're 45 seconds. That was a 15 seconds. It's like we got the refs here trying to. Okay. So we got about 30 seconds. I'm just trying to see if there's another one I can quickly show you here. I mean, look, nothing new has.
All right, why don't we do this while he does his hit and rehashes the information that we already got. So obviously I had little to no faith in Texas, as I have little to no faith in Republicans in general. So I'm locked and loaded and ready to go as soon as they call it. I'm ready to go as soon as they call it. But I have a suggestion. I have a question for you guys because Miss Ray put something in the chat that was funny about Ken Paxton. Man, and I forgot it. Oh yeah, the man's wife asked for a biblical divorce. When I put out my response video to this, I was thinking Ken Paxton just looking as trash as possible. And you remember those 90s DVDs about like the Master P movies where it'd be the dude in the front and then the baby mama with all the kids behind him and then like the stacks of cash and like the jewelry like all behind him and like the mansion. You remember that? I'm thinking I would do something like that with Ken Paxton. Something like that. Just showing all the filth and the grime in the background, with him in the foreground, just looking as trash as possible. You know we want to get as close as we possibly can on that face. So I was thinking for that thumbnail, I would go with like whose man's is this or something like this or like the perfect Maga, something like that. But biblical divorce is pretty good. Biblical divorce is pretty good. If I throw like John Cornyn in the background or something like that, I have to make biblical divorce make sense, so John Cornyn would have to be in there. But I like that. That's pretty funny. If y'all have a good idea for my response, go ahead and put it in the chat. And also too, Ms. Ray, did you end up doing a poll on the Father's Day stuff? Because I love that you guys can put that in the chat too. Because we had some ideas for some Father's Day stuff. Because y'all know our Mother's Day stuff was vote like a mother, but we got some Father's Day ideas. So y'all can hit me up on that. Biblical Divorce is the name of a rap album, is it? I could see that. I could definitely see that. We don't use biblical divorce enough. So shout out to Ken Paxton's wife for bringing that back into the lexicon.
A lot of the political culture locally remains very Democratic. A lot of folks still vote in Democratic primaries. They're not necessarily Republican runoffs. So you're seeing some low numbers there just in terms of the raw share of the vote. It looks like we got a little bit more here. We had talked about having Tarrant County. We got Tarrant. We'll go a little bit west here. Parker County. Okay. Yep. Again, Parker County, the two-way share for Paxton in the preliminary was 56 up to 69, right? 56-44 was the two-way share here in the preliminary, right? Now it's almost a 40-point margin. 12 to almost 40 is the margin for Paxton. So, and remember, as we zoom out here and just see the vote continue to come in, remember, the Trump endorsement came during the early voting period last week, meaning a significant number of early votes had been cast before voters even knew that President Trump was siding with Ken Paxton in this race, right? And we're looking at, in each one of these counties we've been going through, we're looking at early vote. Meaning we're looking at the vote here that Paxton is sort of running up the score over Cornyn with probably includes a fair number of voters who didn't even know Trump was on Paxton's side when they cast their vote. So again, there was an expectation coming into this based on the preliminary, right, when the same day vote was more for the election day vote was more favorable for Paxton. And based on Paxton having that late endorsement from Trump, there was an expectation that it would be the early vote where Cornyn would kind of hold his own. And then if that Trump endorsement was really going to be seen, it would be seen when they started counting up the election day. Maybe it still will. Maybe the election day vote's going to be that much better than Paxton. But Cornyn is not holding his own, as we're showing you here, with the early vote, really in any of these places. Going through, East Texas here, this was a pretty good area for Paxton in the preliminary. Again, just sort of like kind of randomly going to Rusk County here, but just to give you a taste of it, this was two-way vote here was 51-49 in the preliminary, now 60-40, right? From 2 to nearly 20. That's the kind of gain that Paxton's making sort of across the board right here. So this continues to populate, again, Mountain Time Zone, just these two counties right here, and a tiny little sliver there in Culberson County, too, observes Mountain Time Zone. Everything else, though.
You have Collin,
central.
too.
What did we just get?
Collin.
We just got, okay, we got Collin County. Okay, and here we go. Now, this is this is interesting, too. The early vote is in Collin County. This was a Paxton, the two-way share here. This was close, okay, but the two-way share here for Paxton in the preliminary, it was 51-49, and now you're seeing 62-38, consistent with everything else. Now, Collin County is a little interesting because, first of all, Ken Paxton launched his political career in Collin County, a state legislator from Collin County before he went on to become state attorney general. His wife, and this became a story in the campaign, his wife, who was seeking a divorce from him, this became an issue, or this became something that received plenty of commentary during the campaign. She is currently a state senator in Collin County. She did not take sides. She did not endorse anyone in this Republican runoff featuring her estranged husband against John Cornyn. So there was some sort of speculation here about how that drama and the sort of the fact that Ken Paxton and his wife are both very prominent public figures in Collin County, how that would sort of play out when you got the results right here. Well, again, it's very comparable to what we're seeing everywhere else here, where again, a 2-point lead for Paxton in the two-way share in the preliminary has exploded now to well over 20 points. Again, we'll zoom out statewide. We now have a quarter of the vote counted statewide. Again, you're looking at early vote right here. You're looking at a near sweep in terms of the counties that have reported so far in their early vote of Paxton's shade of red right here, translating into more than a 20-point margin there, really nearly a 23-point margin over Cornyn. Look, we were on the air two Saturday nights ago. Next door in Louisiana, Senator Bill Cassidy became the first elected incumbent senator since 2012 to be denied renomination, to lose in a primary. Republican Bill Cassidy, who was opposed by Donald Trump in that Louisiana primary, he was trounced in that primary. Now, here we are about 10 days later, and here's Senator John Cornyn, elected in 2002, a 24-year incumbent, who you could see was trying, as this campaign went, he was just trying to get to the runoff, to the election day, without having Trump get involved here. If he figured if he wasn't going to get it, he just didn't want Trump endorsing Paxton. And there was a whole drama here because initially after the preliminary, it actually looked like Trump might go with Cornyn, and that didn't happen. Then you heard Cornyn saying about a week ago, right before Trump's endorsement, he was saying, look, I think there's just going to be no endorsement. Then the endorsement came in for Paxton. And again, if this is what we're going to be looking at here in Texas when all is said and done, something like this, again, that the power of that Trump endorsement, you're going to be talking about that again. And again now, that would be two incumbent senators in the span of 10 days defeated in primaries. We hadn't seen it in 14 years before that.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
I have a little bit of election day early split in tiny Stonewall County up there in the north. So in the early vote, I have Paxton 64 over Cornyn 36. And then in the election day vote, I have Paxton 87 over Cornyn 13.
Goodness. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So, right. In the early vote in this case.
All right. Cornyn. They said they're not going to make a call until 9 o'clock because of the counties that are in the mountain time zone. I was going to try and give you till 9 o'clock. I'm going to tell you like my parents told me that I tried to give you till 9 o'clock. I tried to do it. But you at 37.8, man. Nah. I can't even do it. I can't even get till 9 o'clock. I don't think, hey, Cornyn. I'm gonna give you 20 minutes. You got 20 minutes, Cornyn. I'm gonna give you 20 minutes. I'm gonna need to see a 4. At least. I need to see a 4. Somewhat, it can't be no 3. It can't be no 35. It can't be no 35. Hey, Cornyn, you out here doing Winsome Sears numbers, man. You doing Winsome Sears numbers. You out here doing Wesley Hunt numbers. Huh? Wesley Hunt is embarrassed for you. Whatever cigar lounge he at with his jigger boots up in the air. Cornyn, I can't even do it, man. I know we don't have like airwaves, like I'm on TV, but I don't even want the internet time. Like, the internet worth more than that, man. The internet worth more than that. What up, though? What up, though, to Mimi? She said Cornyn is cooked. Yes. It's looking tough out there. Gotta love Texas. Great state. But if Trump endorsed Jeffrey Dahmer, even he would win a primary. Yep. And, a primary is doing all the heavy lifting. On that one. So don't worry. I'm prepared. I came prepared. Hey, in Texas, if y'all would have stood up for yourselves and done the thing that I had no expectation that you would do, I'd have been caught out. Oh, they got Al Green? Oh, no! Hold up.
You're all looking at it probably, so this is, we don't have election day vote here. There's no way we have election day vote, right, Adam? There's nothing.
Yes.
Okay. Forget you're seeing that right now. So sometimes what happens here with our system is there's estimates in the system about what the turnout's going to be. We're always telling you as the vote comes in, they're adjusting it. So that this is based on an estimate by our decision desk about how much vote is left. So this can be adjusted, but I do want to show you what we're getting so far here because it's significant. This is an overwhelmingly Democratic district that was sort of created as a result of the redistricting brouhaha over the last year here. Kristen Menefee was elected just in January in a special election to an old district that's not going to exist anymore. And then Al Green, of course, has been in Congress for decades. Now, this is, it spans 2 counties here, okay? This is Harris County. This is where, Houston is. Part of Harris County's in this district. Most of the vote comes from Harris County. And then there's Fort Bend County down here, less of the vote. Green, okay, basically represented the Fort Bend part of the district. Menefee was elected in January to a lot in the Harris County portion of the district. Long way of saying, take a look here. In Fort Bend County, right, this is the early vote I think we're looking at right here. Menefee leading Green in the early vote in Green's backyard. This is Green's political base here. Green won Fort Bend big over Menifee in the preliminary. And then Harris County here again. But I'm sorry, because a lot of this is where I'm just sort of processing it on the fly here with you. I want to, these votes are real. Now we're down to 74%, and we've called it.
Yes.
I'm sorry, folks. This one, we made a bit of a mess on this one. As you could see here with that expected vote, it did come down, but the margin for Menifee, I was being very hesitant there because I'm trying to understand on the fly what's happening with that expected vote. So now it has been adjusted. Our decision desk believes the vast majority of the vote is in here and has now declared Christian Menifee the winner over Al Green. This is a pretty significant development here. Okay, again, Menifee was only elected about 4 months ago. Okay, it was a special election. Previous incumbent had passed away in office, going up against Al Green here. And again, in the preliminary, this was a very close race. Menifee got 46% in the preliminary. Green got 44%. Nobody got a majority, so they went into this runoff here. And those numbers I was just showing you that have come in so far, I mean, this is the really jarring one to see, I think, just in terms of where expectations were. Green won Fort Bend in a landslide in the preliminary, getting crushed by Menifee here in his home base. And again, that's Harris County. And so our decision desk is saying that long-time Democratic incumbent Al Green, he, among other things, if you watch the State of the Union address every year, he's often prominent there for a variety of reasons. But Al Green losing here to Christian Menifee. So one incumbent had to go. Our decision desk says Al Green will be that incumbent. Again, up here in the 33rd district, this is all entirely inside Dallas County. This is early vote in Dallas County that we're looking at right here. Adam, you'll let me know if we get any same-day vote here in Dallas County.
I will.
That would change this. But again, what's happening right here is Colin Allred, previously represented, again, this district, product of that redistricting brouhaha over the last year. Colin Allred represented the area. He left to run for the United States Senate. Julie Johnson then took the seat when Allred did that. Allred was gearing up to run again for the United States Senate, but then opted out and instead tried to win back a seat in the House, challenging Johnson in this primary. Allred beat her by 11 points in the preliminary and is 10 points ahead with the early vote counted here. And again, we think that's probably about 2/3 of the vote, and he's got that advantage. That means in the remaining 1/3, Johnson has to turn the tables here and trounce Allred. She would have to have a massive shift in the election day vote, or Allred is going to get, and this is an overwhelmingly Democratic district, Allred would then be positioned to get the seat back, and Johnson would lose. So you've got Paxton in grave danger of losing as a senator, losing his primary. We have our decision desk saying that Al Green, sorry about this, we have our decision desk saying that Al Green has lost his primary, his Democratic primary, and you have Julie Johnson in real serious danger now of losing her Democratic primary for the House. That's 3 incumbents. Let's take a look here. Do we have any votes coming in yet in the 9th district here? If we have a little bit of Harris County, we should.
Hey, definitely hate to see that for Al Green. And shout out to all the people down in Texas that's been following Christian Menifee. I don't know a lot about him. I ain't gonna hold you. That lady, I appreciate you. Christian Menifee's a problem and not a good one. I know he's young, but he has to be called to the carpet for some things. Let me know what that is, that lady. Let me know about Christian Menifee. I don't know anything about him. So, I'm sad to see Al Green go. I would love to get excited about Christian Menifee at least, but I don't know anything about him. So y'all let me know. The bow tie didn't really do it. So y'all got to let me know what's up with your mans.
Coming from here. Okay, the story here, if you're watching this, you're probably broadly familiar. Johnny Garcia, Maureen Galindo. Maureen Galindo finished first in a crowded preliminary back in March. she's made comments that are clearly, anti-Semitic, been denounced by her party. A lot of leaders in her party for that. You've got James Tallarico, the Democratic nominee for Senate, saying he will not campaign with Galindo if she wins this. You did have reports here of a Republican-aligned group spending money on behalf of or trying to boost Galindo's prospects in this, believing she'd be a very beatable candidate. This is a potentially competitive district. So again, we are looking at about half the vote in here. Okay, Bexar County. I'm just seeing if there's any variance in these counties. In the Wilson County, this is tiny though in terms of where the vote comes from. Karnes County, yeah. Her opponent, Johnny Garcia. Bexar and Guadalupe are really the only two places where there's votes on the Democratic side. So you're getting the early vote there in Bexar County. This is where San Antonio is, okay? And then Guadalupe County here outside of it. These are the two main places where you're going to find votes on the Democratic side. And in the early vote, you do see Garcia here with a 20-point advantage over Galindo. I'm just calling this one up. Again, I want to just, in the primary, or in the preliminary, yeah, this is a bit of a change because in the preliminary, Galindo got more votes in Bexar than Garcia. Garcia is an official with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. So about 3/4 of the vote in this district comes from Bexar County. About a quarter comes from Guadalupe. Just sort of, this is very, very small again in terms of its impact district-wide. So that is a clear advantage there early in the votes for Garcia over Galindo. But Galindo is over 40% of the vote right there. Now, I say this is a potentially competitive district. Again, this all the Texas redistricting saga of the last year. This district was drawn, originally it would have been a Democratic district in the area that really connected up by Austin. And it turned into a district that's based in Bexar County and then Republican suburbs of it. Trump won this district, or would have won this district, by 10 points in 2024. Large Hispanic population in 2020. This would have been a 1-point Trump win. So again, this is one of those districts, newly drawn districts. Republicans want to give themselves an advantage. Democrats felt, look, right candidate, right year, this could be winnable for them. Obviously, Galindo looming as a giant X factor there. But let's take a look at what's happening on the Republican side. And wow, this is interesting. Again, let's zoom in here. Okay, now John Lujan, this is a state legislator, okay, from Bexar County. Carlos de la Cruz is a veteran and business owner. He is also the brother of Monica de la Cruz, who's a Republican congresswoman from South Texas here. Okay, now de la Cruz has the endorsement of Donald Trump. Lujan actually received more votes in the preliminary. So this is a real interesting test here of Donald Trump and his endorsement. You have a very locally popular politician in this part of the district, Bexar County. Now, on the Republican side, the numbers work a lot differently. Bexar is a little bit less than half the vote on the Republican side. This is Lujan's base, and he is leading here in the early vote in Bexar County. But then you get outside of it. You get to Wilson County. You get down here in Karnes County. These are much more significant pieces of real estate on the Republican side. Probably about close to a quarter of the vote will come out of these two counties tonight. And there's de la Cruz leading in both of them. And then Guadalupe County. It's almost the same size of Bexar in terms of the vote impact. So Guadalupe really, if you're Lujan, frankly, you probably want a bigger number so far out of Bexar, your Bexar County base, given that you're trailing here, you're trailing in Karnes, and if you don't turn it, if that pattern continues into Guadalupe County, that will net out to de la Cruz's advantage. But Guadalupe looms large. That's going to be, when we get Guadalupe, Adam, if you could shout, I think that's going to really clarify the picture there in the 35th district. Again, this is the Republican primary. De la Cruz running with Trump's endorsement, again, to get the winner of the Democratic primary here, Garcia, Galindo. And we just talked about the story there. Again, returning to the 33rd district, do we have any new votes here any same day? We don't yet. We have showed you this. Christian Menifee. And again, I apologize for the confusion with the expected vote, which you can see has come down again a little bit more here. But our decision desk has made that call. And in the 9th district, again, we've shown you here very good starters here, Alex Mueller, the Trump endorsed candidate. Let's return to the story of the hour. What time is it?
8:37.
Okay, so we are still 23 minutes away from polls closing. But this is the big story, obviously, in Texas and nationally right now. Ken Paxton just running up, trying to find the right way to characterize it without characterizing it, but I think folks know what I'm trying to say here. Again, we've got a pretty complete picture here. What else has come in? McLennan County. This is where Waco is, right? This was a pretty good place for Cornyn in the preliminary. In the two-way vote in the preliminary, it was 57-43 for Cornyn over Paxton. Look, that falls all the way down here to 42 tonight, right? A 14-point Cornyn advantage, two-way vote in the preliminary is now flipped and is a 17-point advantage for Paxton. That's a 31-point shift. And again, you're looking at early vote only. Adam had just took us through that in one county, the early vote same-day split. Do we have that anywhere else, Adam? I'm curious, same-day vote coming in some places?
Yeah, we have a few more full counties. I'll find a good one and update you.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that was an absolutely massive shift there. I mean, look out here, Lubbock, where Texas Tech University is. Guns up, that's what they say out there. Again, in the preliminary, I got my little cheat sheet here. This is another good one for Cornyn in the preliminary. 56-44 was the two-way vote in the preliminary, down to 40, up to nearly 60. It was plus 12 Cornyn in the preliminary. Now it's basically plus 20 for Paxton so far, shift of 32 points. And again, just the early vote, very possible that that's going to get more pro-Paxton. Up here, Amarillo, the only real population center in the Panhandle. But again, Cornyn had won Potter County. Okay, Amarillo kind of splits between these two counties, Potter and Randall. Cornyn's two-way share was 56% of the vote in Potter. He's getting 36%. Go down to Randall County. The two-way share here was 61%. For Cornyn got 61%, and the two-way share in Randall down to 38%. So these are catastrophic numbers if you're John Cornyn. Take a look. Yeah, Montgomery County. This one I wanted to see. This one, okay, Montgomery County is one of the biggies. Okay, how big? This is the largest plurality-producing county in America for Donald Trump in 2024. So what are we talking about geographically? We're talking about sort of north of Houston right here, suburbs. It's that massive planned community called the Woodlands, if you're familiar, okay? That's what you're talking about in Montgomery County. It's deeply, deeply conservative politically. So in the preliminary, back in March, Cornyn tended to do better in the population centers. A lot of these places I've been taking you throughout the state, right around Dallas, right around Austin, right around San Antonio. The big exception to that was right here in Montgomery County. Montgomery County was a Paxton landslide back in the preliminary. So I thought, wow, if he's having a much better night tonight, what's Montgomery going to look like? I can tell you the two-way vote in the preliminary here was 67-33. So actually, so far, News Now wants to do a hit? Okay, folks, we're going to do another News Now hit in about 30 seconds. This one, again, like already Paxton had trounced Cornyn here. This was Paxton's best number really in the state in the preliminary, doing better with the early. And again, that same day, you would expect that to go up more. We're going to reset, take a look at that. We got News Now coming here in a few seconds. So I'm going to just...
All right. I got to take issue with something Steve Kornacki said, and I'll probably talk more about this after when we have the conversation. He characterized Montgomery County, the county that with the biggest plurality for Trump in 2024. He characterized them as deeply conservative. Oh, really? 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 What exactly does conservative mean? If we out here advocating for Donald Trump and Ken Paxton, huh? What does conservative mean when we push in a 70% vote for Ken Paxton? Conservative, not conservativing like it used to. You know what I mean? It really not conservativing like it used to. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling. Conservative. Okay. All right. Apparently, they just taking words and making them their own now. Apparently, they're just making them their own. So, okay. All right. No, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Where's Cornyn at? Is it politically? I mean, if we want to go to traditional conservatism, traditional conservatism, we can do that. If that's where you want to go with the conversation, huh? How about the fact that the characterization from the old MAGAs is the neocons like Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro have taken over the party? The pro-war skyrocketing debt Trump administration. We want to talk about traditional conservatism? Okay. All right. We can go wherever y'all want to go. We can go wherever y'all want to go, baby. Wherever y'all want to go. Conservative. Okay.
Texas primary. Let's get straight over to Steve Cornyn. Steve, this just came in?
Yeah, Gotti, and I think the scale of this one is really surprising here because, again, we're talking about runoffs, meaning, these are two candidates who faced off back in March in a preliminary election. There were multiple candidates then. Nobody got 50%. It was very close in the preliminary between Menifee and Green. Green, the longtime incumbent. Menifee just elected in a special election to a different seat a few months ago. But wow, what a difference a few months make here. In this runoff election, Menifee now is absolutely kind of pouring it on over Green. And in particular, what's happened in this district is right around Houston and the big suburbs just south of Houston in Fort Bend County. And what's happening is Fort Bend County is the political base of Al Green. In that preliminary, he did great there, made him competitive district-wide. The floor has just fallen out for him in his own political base tonight in Fort Bend County. He's getting clobbered there. Menifee's also doing quite well in his own base in Harris County around Houston, and that translates into a more than 2-1 lead here for Menifee district-wide, and a declaration from our decision desk that he will win. This is a battle of two incumbents. Again, Green has been there for decades. Menifee was elected to a different seat in a special election just a few months ago in that redistricting sort of war in Texas. They merged those two districts into one, and Menifee survives in this battle of incumbents.
Wow, great. Thank you so much for that update, and we'll be checking back with you in just a bit. Steve Kornacki, thanks. More than 4 months. All
right, and thank you again to our buddy Gotti for accommodating us on that. And let's go right back here to the statewide map.
Steve.
Yes.
So I was looking at the completed counties, or the counties that we have near complete in this race, and comparing the two-way margin from the preliminary to the two-way margin now. So we have about 18 counties, small counties, that are mostly complete. In the preliminary matchup, it was Paxton 51-49 in those counties. Mm-hmm. And tonight, it's Paxton 65-35 in those counties.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you folks just heard what Adam said, but that means when he's giving you the 65-35, that's answering the question about mixing together the election day vote with the early vote. He says 18 counties, 254 in Texas. 18 now we have complete results from. We have the early and the election day combined. And in those 18, Paxton's beating Cornyn by 30 points. And in those same 18 counties, in that two-way share of the vote we've been talking about as our big metric tonight in the preliminary, Paxton beat Cornyn 51-49 by 2. So 2 is now 30. So the 18 completed counties in Texas represent, if you're just comparing the two-way share in each one of them, a 28-point shift, a 28-point net shift in Paxton's favor. And again, remember, in the preliminary statewide, the result was Cornyn 42%, and Paxton 40.5, right? So it was a 1.5 point margin there for Cornyn over Paxton. Again, that wasn't the two-way adjusted vote, but that was just the raw preliminary vote. So Paxton is doing light years better than that. tonight, and we're now seeing it in completed counties. And again, we don't have Austin. Did I show you Bear? We could check it in Bear County. Again, this was a Cornyn. Cornyn, I think his share of the two-way vote here, yeah, his share was 53% here in the preliminary, 53-47. It was +6 Cornyn. Now it's +18 Paxton. Shift of 24 points. So you're seeing it there. Waco. I showed you the Woodlands. We got Brazoria. I'm trying to see what else any major population centers. You know, kind of that fringe metroplex area here. Actually, go to Grayson County, right? Paxton won this in the preliminary, but yeah, barely. His two-way share was 51%. It was 51-49 in the two-way. Look at that, from 2 right to 44. And again, that's without the election day vote coming in yet. So. It would look down here and look at. I even see Paxton. This is interesting. Down here in Cameron County, right where Brownsville is. This is actually pretty big. And again, a lot of the folks here, this area has been trending Republican or trending toward the Republicans a bit. But you don't see a huge number of raw votes because a lot of folks still locally. The Democratic culture is still very sort of entrenched locally. But still, this was a very good county for Cornyn in the preliminary. In the two-way vote then, it was 57-43 Cornyn, right? He won it by 14, and he's now losing it by 21. That's a 35-point shift right down there in deep South Texas, right along the U.S.-Mexico border. I see 3 counties. I see 4 counties in the state. One up here, tiny county up here in the Panhandle, where Cornyn's actually leading right now. He's leading by where he's leading. He's leading by a single vote in Sherman County, up there by the Oklahoma border in the Panhandle, in Panola County. This was a good one for Cornyn in the primary, in the primaries. But again, it's tiny. Dallas County is the big one where Cornyn, yeah, and we showed you this. Cornyn's lead there is 1.4 in the early vote, and then down here, I guess, small county, Victoria County. And just looking to see what this was actually, well, there it is. This is the single best piece of news if you're John Cornyn on the map, because in the preliminary, Paxton won this. It was 58-42. So it was 16 for Paxton. And look at that. There's John Cornyn leading it by 0.6 of a point with only 12% of the vote in. That's the best news for John Cornyn on this entire map right now. A tiny county with a small fraction of the vote in. He's posting a net improvement there of about 16 and a half points. Everywhere else we're seeing 20, 30, 40-point shifts here in Paxton's direction relative to that preliminary. So again, we zoom out. We're getting close to half the vote statewide. And again, Adam, what time is it now?
8:51.
8:51. So keep me honest on that time because, as I explained, we are now 9 minutes away from what? Full poll closing in the state. In 9 minutes,
Okay, let's do this. So, Cornyn, you made it till 9 o'clock. I don't know why you made it till 9 o'clock. I think we got a little bit distracted with Al Green and people saying I look like Menifee. We got a little bit distracted. You made it till 9 o'clock. But this is a question I want for y'all in the chat. Because typically, the polls close at 7. All right? We've seen people packed up. I think Winsome got packed up. She definitely got packed up before the first commercial break. So she got packed up like 7:10, 7:12, something like that. I think that's the record. 7:10, 7:12 before the first commercial break, she got packed up. They might pack Cornyn up right at 9. I think they're going to pack Cornyn up right. I think they're going to pack Cornyn up right at 9. As soon as they are legally able to pack Cornyn up, I think they're going to pack him up right at 9. I think, is Cornyn going to make it to 9:10? Y'all think he gonna make it to 9:10? Is he gonna make it to 9:05? Is he? Bruh, Yeah, it's because of the time zone. It's because of the time zone, Petra. And I'm wondering if that would break the record. Would that break the record? Technically, it would be like an hour and change, but it was like only a few minutes after the polls closed. Like, I think he might be winsome. He might be winsome. I can't wait to see this speech if he beat Winsome. He definitely got to go I am speaking at some point. USA, USA, USA. He definitely got to go I am speaking. I think he might beat Winsome. Wow. Hey, put in the chat when you think they're going to pack Cornyn up. 9 what? 9 what? Just put the number in. My vote, let me think. They gonna do some updates. They're gonna get some vote in. They're gonna talk about that for like a couple minutes. I'm gonna go 907. Lucky, I'm gonna go 907. 907. We got 903. Cecil said 907. Hey, you funny, Michelle. You funny, Michelle. 930. 901. 904. Maybe I was too generous with the 907. 901. 90 nothing. He is speaking in 905. That's it. That's funny. Within 90 seconds. Yeah. Yeah. We got some 902s. Denantra said 9 on the dot. We should have did a poll earlier in the day. Well, I guess we didn't know it was going to go like this, but I guess we didn't know it was going to go like this. Next time, we got to remember, next time we do an election watch party and somebody's trash, like we should have did for Mark Robinson, we should have did this. We could have had a whole raffle. You know what I mean? Like you do squares, like when you play squares, we could have got a whole raffle when they pack up Mark Robinson. We could have did it for Wesley Hunt. We got to do that for November. For November, we got to look at the worst candidates and figure out when they're going to get packed up. That's something that we got to remember. Y'all keep me on board. And shout out to Chad. I didn't get a chance to acknowledge your super chats. Shout out to you, Chad. I appreciate the appreciation. LaFarise, they don't call a spade a spade. They absolutely don't call us. The only thing I can say in their defense is if they called out the corruption in proper amounts to the amount of corruption, that's all they would talk about. Which, quite frankly, I would be fine with that. I would be fine with that. Cornyn was conservative before he went MAGA. He about to set it on fire. I hope so, that lady. I hope so. I hope we got a Bill Cassidy, Thomas Massey situation where now you got people that got an axe to grind. That would be dope. That would be dope. All right. It's 8:57. We got all the votes in. Somebody said 9:14. Oh no, somebody said 9:30. Somebody said, you're not getting till 9:30, Cornyn. I'm not giving you till 9:30. I can tell you that right now. I might. That's a great tweet. Many soldiering onwards. That is my that and Mimi's gerrymandering through grits on Al Green. Those are tweets of the day. Tweets of the day. Well done. That was well done. Cassidy is on the F all y'all tour. The gerrymandering through grits on Al Green was crazy. That was crazy. All right, let's see what they're gonna do. Come on. Come on, 907. Baby need a new pair of shoes. Come on, 907. Baby need a new pair of shoes. Come on with it. Come on, Steve Kornacki.
Advantage there, a pretty solid over Lujan. If it doesn't, if it goes Lujan shade or if it's very close, well, we got an interesting story. We got a Trump-backed candidate who would be in some danger at that point of losing in a primary. But that county is going to be very clarifying when we get it. Adam, the time?
It's 8:58. We got Guadalupe on the Democratic side.
We do.
We haven't gotten it on the Republican side yet.
That's interesting. Did that just come in?
Yeah, it just came in.
I think we're about to get Guadalupe on the Republican side. Let me pull this up, and I will.
But if you go back to the Texas Senate, we got more in Travis County.
This was state capital Austin. Tell me when there's like 59-30.
Yep.
What?
1 minute away.
Yeah, I don't want to miss this. Again, Travis was actually one of Cornyn's like 3 best in the preliminary. He's winning it in the early vote. He's winning it by 8. What was his two-way? He got his two-way share in the. Oh my gosh, his two-way share in the preliminary, 64 down to 54. Let me just again. I think folks who've been watching this know why I'm resetting it to this. It's 8:59 and.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, we're going to go to the news now. We're going to go to news now, and folks, some things might be happening here. Stay this long. You want to see this. It's about 15 seconds away, folks. We're going to go to the top of the hour, and here it comes. You'll see I think you'll see a moment here.
And we are back with breaking news tonight. A major race now called in Texas. Trump-backed candidate Ken Paxton has won the state's Senate race, beating out 4-term incumbent.
Oh! Oh! He didn't make it to 901. He didn't make it to 901. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. The 859s was right. The 859s was right. Wow. Now, so who won the poll? I think the 859s won. It was a couple of 9 on the dots. I think technically they won. Wow. Now, is that technically breaking Winsome's record? Did they technically break Winsome's record? Alexa, play a driver by Gucci Man. Oh man, that was tough. I gotta collect myself. I think people saying he broke Winsome's record. Dang, John Cornyn. That's tough. I gotta collect myself now. All right, let me see what Steve Kornacki's saying. I get my response.
In an absolute landslide, and John Cornyn is going to become now the second elected incumbent senator in 10 days to lose a Republican primary. Louisiana's Bill Cassidy did 10 days ago. Before that, Gotti, it had been 14 years.
Fascinating. Steve Kornacki, thank you. Let's bring in Ryan Chandler, who's at.
All right, folks. Well, there it was. As you could see, we had that magic 9 o'clock comes and the check mark appears up on the screen there. Did we get Guadalupe here?
We did.
Okay. On the Republican side. And it did. We said, what color was Guadalupe going to be? Was it going to be the Dela Cruz? Was it going to be the Lujan? Wow, it's the Dela Cruz color. And again, this is like 40% of the district here. We just got, outside San Antonio, fast growing area here. So again, the contours of this is no small piece of the puzzle here. Okay. Bexar County in this primary, probably a little bit more vote than Guadalupe. They're probably about even though. And more here you can see in the preliminary actually. So Lujan in his home base winning by 6 points, but then take a look at the rest of the district. It's going to essentially be something like 40%, 40%, 20%. That's probably the division between these counties. So in this chunk, Lujan by 6. Then you go down here, smaller but still not insignificant. Dela Cruz by 7, Dela Cruz by 21, and now a very, very big piece of the puzzle in that early vote has Dela Cruz winning by 32 points. So what that nets out to, sorry about that, what that nets out to is now a 9-point advantage district-wide for Dela Cruz. Lujan would need something to change, and this is where it gets, if you're Lujan, this is where it gets very tricky for you because you're looking at early vote. Same day vote, we have been talking about this. We've seen this in primary after primary. It tends to be more of the Trump-friendly, pro-Trump, MAGA vote, whatever you want to call it, in these Republican primaries we've been tracking state after state, and we're seeing it tonight. Adam's showing us tonight in that Paxton Cornyn race. The election day vote is the sort of the more, the Trump-endorsed candidate tends to do better with. Who is the Trump-endorsed candidate? It's Carlos Dela Cruz here. He's got Trump's backing. He's got the lead with the early vote tabulated here. He's got 3 of the 4 counties. Lujan has a lead in his neck of the woods, but probably not the kind of size lead I think he wanted to see there. So again, that's the Republican primary in the 35th district here. The winner of that will face the winner of this. I do see we got some more vote in. Adam, do you know where the vote came in here in this Maureen Galindo Garcia, or did they just adjust the expected vote? And now it's at.
All right, I'm ready to go. Shout out to everybody who was here, participated in the chat. This was not unexpected. Texas, come on down. Texas, come on down. Come on down, Texas. Because, Texas loves to talk about what renegades they are. Texas loves to talk about don't tread on me. Everything's bigger in Texas. Don't mess with Texas. I think he just messed with Texas. I'm pretty sure he just messed with Texas. I mean, the way y'all following around like that is sad. But here's the crazy thing about it, though. Here's the crazy thing about it, because I've talked on this platform quite a bit about the degrees of self-owning, the degrees of FAFO that you have waiting in your future that you've experienced up to this point. We've already discussed that, but let me take you through that, Texas. Let me just take you through that, and it's going to be in a few easy steps. I'll walk you right, because I know y'all trying to dismantle the education system and all that. I'm gonna take you through it in a few easy steps. Now, I'm sure you probably are aware by now of just how unpopular Donald Trump is. I'm sure you're aware. Every poll just gets worse. Your man out here doing John Cornyn numbers, if we being honest. Your man doing John Cornyn numbers nationally. Okay? And quite frankly, if y'all really love Trump that much, y'all would have had Paxton down in the 30s with Trump. If you love him, if you really love him that much, you know what I mean? Your man down in the mid 30s right now, okay? And the question that has to be asked is, how does that manifest itself in actual elections? Well, we'll get a real true answer to that in November. But all we have up to this point that we could possibly reflect on is special elections, just to see how people will react. to the Trump administration when they go back to the polls. So why don't we check that out, shall we? Oh, let's go ahead and check out how that's been going. So let's see. A trend that can't be ignored, Dems have made up ground in nearly every special election since Trump took office. Politico's analysis shows a clear trend in red and blue districts alike. Red and blue districts. And here you can see nearly all state and federal elections have shifted left since 2024. Shift in two-party vote share for each state and federal election compared to the district's 2024 presidential vote since January 2025. There you can see the shifts, right? Because I know y'all like a good model. You know, I know y'all like a good model. So then you have to ask yourself, right? You have to ask yourself, you say, okay, Trump is historically unpopular. And we have seen these massive shifts left ever since he has taken office. But of course, Trump would want the best for the party. You know, Trump would always do the best for the party, you know, because he's so selfless, you know, because he's a man who always makes sure to take care of those that have been loyal to him, you know, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, or like Lauren Boebert, or like his own son, whose wedding he just missed. You know, the kind of man who always puts himself last. So naturally, he's somebody who you can trust when it comes to you making sure that you have a voice and you are well represented when it comes to November, right? Well, let's see. Let's take a look at what Trump's mindset might possibly be going into this election. Trump, quote, doesn't care about midterm results and is resigning himself to Republican losses. Democrats are predicted to retake the House in 2026 midterms, but major legal decisions on voting maps could boost the GOP. Donald Trump is reportedly resigned to projected Democratic victories in the midterms and has allegedly told aides he doesn't care about the outcome. That's interesting. He does not care about the outcome of the midterms. Now, I believe he cares somewhat about the outcome of the midterms because he certainly doesn't want Congress standing in the way of him pushing his agenda. But when it comes to him caring about the outcome for the health of the Republican Party, well, then you have to ask yourself, has he done and said the things that would help the party in November? You know, has he been out here when we're having national conversations about affordability, calling it a hoax? Or can you clip a video of him literally saying he doesn't think about America's finances? Or how about the Epstein files are a hoax? You know, is he doing and saying the things that would help the party in November? Is he giving you somebody that centrists, independents, and maybe even some disillusioned Democrats might be able to glom onto? Is that what he's doing? Or is he taking out petty slights like we've seen in Indiana and Louisiana, or favoring the one that has the most fealty to him, as we see here in Texas with Ken Paxton? It was clear night as day who the most electable of your two candidates was when it came to a general election. But doing the best thing for the party or the best thing for literally anybody else has never been Donald Trump's bag, now has it? So let me get this straight, MAGA. So you have taken a historically unpopular president that has caused special election losses all across America since he's been in office, who actively has shown a complete disregard for the party and the health of the Republican brand moving forward. And that's who Texas. Don't mess with Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. That's who y'all decided to follow in the special election. When we have these conversations about putting the country back together again, right? Can we sit down at the table and look one another eye to eye? This is what makes it so hard, Texas. This is what makes it so hard. And a lot of times people have a feeling of permanence to these kinds of labels that get attached to, say, a jurisdiction or a state like Texas, or a candidate or a movement. In the case of Donald Trump and MAGA being conservative. You know, people get attached to those kinds of labels, but I'm not that kind of person. If this is how you decide to move Texas, ain't gonna be no more Don't Mess with Texas. We just seen it. We just seen it. Ain't gonna be no more of that. No, we're not doing that no more. We're not doing that no more. Hey, Ken Paxton's so dirty. His attacks on James Tallarico have devolved to, quote, more like Talafrico, and he's a vegan. That's what he got. That's what he got. Your boy got Talafrico, and he's a vegan. That's how bad it is, because he can't say nothing else. He can't say nothing else. And by the way, true to the MAGA brand, just making up stuff. As Tallarico had said himself, he been eating barbecue since Ken Paxton's first indictment, which is a bar. You just making up stuff, and the best you got is Talafrico, and he's a vegan? Well done. Well done. Y'all gonna do that for 5-6 months? That's what you gonna do? Just AI or him with vegetables while there's real video of him eating meat? That's what y'all gonna do for 5-6 months? That's nasty. That's nasty. But let's do this, because this is one of the other interesting things that I saw online too, is people talking about Texas voters, right? Like I saw this one. Texans have got to be one of the most uneducated, uninformed voter pools across the U.S. because Paxton is still being in office and running for the Senate while having tons of corruption allegations, should not be getting him close to 45% in the polls. That close to 45%, by the way, was a hypothetical vote between him and Tallarico. Much tighter than the one between Tallarico and Cornyn, I might add, but I know y'all aren't used to doing the best thing for yourselves or the party. I got it. But let's grapple with that, right? Because it's one thing for me to see Ken Paxton and just think of how wild it is that he is a major party nominee for state office and Senate at that. But the man is your active attorney general. So you remember that part? It kind of reminds me of Mark Robinson a little bit, don't it? It kind of reminds me of Mark Robinson. When Mark Robinson's jacket was so crazy, and you were like, not only did this dude get like 30-40% of the vote, he was lieutenant governor. I was like, He's lieutenant governor. I'm like, how much free time does the lieutenant governor have if he could be on Nude Africa? I don't understand. They need to give him more responsibility. You know what I mean? They need to, come on. They need to give him more. And how much of the taxpayers' money paying for all this pizza? Just like Mark Robinson, this man is holding state office currently. Now, you remember that thing I just said about people get attached to labels and feel like there's a bit of a permanence to them? I'm not one of those people. And the thing that I brought up often here on this platform is when it comes to patriotism, the fact that Republicans and MAGAs act like they have the market cornered on patriotism, despite actively eroding democracy. No, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. No. Now, you come up off them flags. Just because you were able to pay $19.95 online and get some gaudy to hang in your front yard does not a true American patriot make. Not moving like this. It sure enough doesn't. But let's talk about one thing that was said today. I took issue at the time, but I'm going to take even bigger issue with it right now. They were talking about Montgomery County in Texas and how it was so deeply conservative. You know, the county that has, had the biggest plurality for Donald Trump in the 2024 election. And conservative is interesting. It's an interesting word to use, conservative. That's something that people use to characterize people in the South, certainly something that people use to characterize Texas. Well, let's take a look at that conservatism now, shall we? Shall we take a look at that conservatism? Because just this week with Ken Paxton, we got a little bit more insight into that conservatism, did we not? We got a little bit more insight. We got, this is the wrong one. Okay, cheater, Texas Attorney General and Christian influencer mistress, secret new $2 million love nest revealed. I ain't even mean that one. Okay, we're gonna have to come back around to that one. We're gonna have to come back around to that one. How about this one though? Adam Hoffman. How about that? Released from jail for good behavior. Hoffman, the 49-year-old Waco, Texas attorney who faced life without parole for assault of a young boy until Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton offered him 1 day in jail and no need to register as an offender. A judge increased his sentence to a whopping 60 days. He got out in 30. And there you see him walking out as we speak. Conservative? Conservative, yeah. Yeah. They're conservative. That's what we're going for. That's what we're going for. And by the way, as wild as that is, right? Hey, Ken Paxton, I'm an ex-Waco child abuse prosecutor. While you are focused on bathroom stalls, I'm focused on why you allowed Adam Hoffman to assault a child, and he's still a member of good standing of the Texas bar. That's right. That's right. Not just a sweetheart deal with 1 day in jail that a judge had to rectify, but still in good standing with the Texas bar. That is the brand now, isn't it? That is the brand. That is the brand. Conservative. Conservative. Let's see exactly what a conservative hero looks like. Why don't we do that? Why don't we, that feels like the thing to do. Let's see what a conservative hero actually looks like. Because this your man's. This is your man's right here. So why don't we take a look? In 2008, when Paxton was a Texas House member representing McKinney, the Associated Press reported he and another lawmaker had investments in a company that got millions from state contracts that Paxton had voted on through state spending bills. State contracts that he was voting on, and he was no wonder Trump likes him. No wonder Trump I see him with the stocks. I see him, yeah. Hey, Ken Paxton, you the one gave him that idea? Is that what this is? This is a little quid pro quo? Okay, I keep reading. Paxton had profited from the contracts that WatchGuard, a video equipment company that supplies police stations, secured while he was in office. His investment in the company came to light after a competing company sued, saying the contract bidding was rigged in Watchdog's favor. According to the Wall Street Journal, after coming under scrutiny, Paxton shifted his investments, including in WatchGuard, into a blind trust in 2015, which is an account managed by a third-party trustee without the beneficiary's knowledge. However, the Journal uncovered texts between Paxton and the trustee, who is a friend of his, concerning his stock trades in 2020, a violation of the blind nature of the arrangement. And by the way, Paxton received $2.2 million from his investments in WatchGuard when the company was brought in 2019. Yeah, pretty conservative. That's what I think when I see that. That's what I think when I see that. I think conservative. That's definitely what I think. Yeah. He definitely conservative. Yeah. Yeah, that is conservative to me. That's it. We got him in 2013 stealing another lawyer's pen, which is hilarious because this was caught on video. This was an $1,000 pen, which is crazy. I honestly, this kind of got a little bit of Shiloh Hendrix to it, where I'm like, if you spend $1,000 on a pen, I don't know how bad I can feel about you. But your boy got caught on camera coming off another man's pen at the airport. So we got that. We got 2015 securities fraud charges. The year Paxton assumed office of Attorney General also kicked off a 9-year legal saga over securities fraud felony charges. He was indicted in the late summer of 2015 over accusations of defrauding investors, according to the Chronicle. The charges stem from accusations that Paxton had encouraged other legislators to invest in McKinney-based company Servergy in 2011 without telling them he would make a commission. Paxton allegedly misrepresented himself as an investor in the company, which was charged with fraud by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission in 2016. How about we go to 2020? An FBI investigation of bribery and abuse of office accusations. The FBI? Now, wait a minute. 2020 FBI. 2020, who would have been in charge? Who would have been in charge of the 2020? Okay, I got it. Yeah, it's your man's. Yeah, that's your man's. Yeah, okay. A group of conservative attorneys who worked in Paxton's office reported him to the FBI in October 2020, accusing him of bribery and abuse of office. Once again, a group of conservative attorneys accused him of bribery and abuse of office. The FBI began looking into the claims that Paxton had misused his office to aid friend and political donor Nate Paul, a wealthy Austin real estate developer. The attorneys from Paxton's office claimed Paxton hired an outside lawyer to investigate Paul's claims that the FBI had improperly searched his home, according to the Associated Press. After the allegations spurred an investigation and subsequent impeachment trial in 2023. How about that? But in late 2024, the Justice Department quietly declined to continue pursuing the case. That's so MAGA, is it not? That's so MAGA. Conservative. 2020, sued for firing whistleblowers. After reporting Paxton to the FBI in 2020, at least 4 of the attorneys who worked in his office were fired and promptly sued the Attorney General for violating the Texas Whistleblower Act, which prohibits employers from taking action against public employees who report violations of the law. In 2022, you got him contesting the 2020 election results. The State Bar of Texas sued Paxton for professional misconduct in 2022 after he brought a lawsuit against Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin over discredited election fraud claims. The Supreme Court threw out Paxton's lawsuit, saying Texas lacked the standing to sue other states over their election procedures. Now, there is shameless pandering, and there is you suing other states over Trump's big lie. That's, I honestly, Texas, come on, Texas. No, because y'all like to act all big and bad. Y'all like that. Y'all got so much pride in yourselves and puff up your chest. Huh? You got a used car salesman up here failing upward time and time again, and that's who y'all decide to ride with? To back a man at 35% approval who told you he don't care about you or the party? Yeah. You do you. Honestly, you do you. That's nasty work. I want better for you. I want better for you. Despite the fact that a lot of y'all's Cowboys fans, I'm going to let that go for right now. I'm going to let that go. You know, I'm going to let that go for right now. You know what I mean? I want better for you. You know, I just, you can't want it for them. I'm learning that as a parent. You can't want it for them. You know, they gotta do, but you know, maybe I have already revealed the answer to myself because they used to this kind of loss. Maybe that's it. Y'all used to this kind of loss. Y'all take these kind of losses every December, January. All right, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. They had a candidate in Cornyn. They say he might be able to go far. You know what I mean? We might be able to win a playoff game with Cornyn. They like, we don't want that. We're not used to that. We don't know how to do that. It's been too long. It's been too long. We don't know how to win no more. Sad. Your boy was impeached in May 2023 after the mounting FBI investigation and whistleblower lawsuit. The Texas House Investigation Committee unveiled 20 articles of impeachment against Paxton based on the abuse of office and bribery charges. The investigation centered around Paxton misusing his office to aid Neil Paul's legal issues. The House voted 121 to 33 to impeach Paxton, suspending him from office and marking only the third time in history the legislative body has impeached an official. 121 to 33. How many of them you think was Democrats? Think it was 121 of them? You think it was 121 Democrats down there? Huh? Because I know he went and told y'all it was a witch hunt, right? It was a partisan politics, and I know that's what it said. It's 121 of them down there. But you want somebody to respect y'all. You know what I mean? Y'all ate that. Y'all ate that. That it was a partisan witch hunt when it was 121 to 33. And you want us to look, you know what I mean? You want us to act like y'all are a peer. When y'all went with that, y'all went with the partisan witch hunt. That's what y'all decided. That's what y'all did. You sure enough did? Huh? They must, you know, the Democrats must have got a hold of some of that Elon Musk technology. Yeah, it was some anomalies in the vote count. Is that what it is? Some imbalances in the vote. Is that what that is? Now, this is the craziest part right here. This is the craziest part right here. This is the craziest part right here. No, this is the craziest part right here. Because if you was Ken Paxton and you had got away with all of that, right? You had got away with all of that. You wake up every day and you look in the mirror and you see Ken Paxton and you realize that there was a woman in America who was willing to call herself your partner. And you didn't hang on for dear life. They would have had to tear me away from that woman. If I woke up and I look like Ken Paxton, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? If I woke up one day and I look like Ken Paxton, and you told me there was a woman that was willing to take me into her home, I would never steal again. I would never sin again. Take it all. Take it all. This man had the nerve. This man had the nerve to step out on a woman who took in Ken Paxton. That's the kind of judgment? That's the kind of judgment. Huh? That's the kind of judgment? That's what we're doing? And I see you, who was it that, I saw that tweet. Somebody said Pax's mistress is pub. Oh, I'm coming. I'm coming, AJ. I'm coming. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm coming. We gonna make it. In 2025, the Attorney General's wife, State Senator Angela Paxton, took to social media to announce she was filing for divorce. Today, after 38 years of marriage, I filed for divorce on biblical grounds, she wrote in her post. I believe marriage is a sacred covenant, and I have earnestly pursued reconciliation. But in light of recent discoveries, I do not believe that it honors God or is loving to myself, my children, or kin to remain in the marriage. Although Angela Paxton did not expand on her recent discoveries, the divorce announcement came after years of publicly reported infidelity by her husband. Now, Angela, I gotta holler at you. Now, because I know you a state representative in Texas too, so we talking about that kind of judgment. You think I would let Ken Paxton step out on me more than one time? Ladies. No. You don't take in a Ken Paxton if he not coming home and putting his whole check on the table. He better come home, put his whole check on the table for me to step out with you in public. You let Ken Paxton step out on you more than once, you can't want it for him. You can't want it for him. And now we got to talk about what's going on in Texas, that there is a safe harbor at night for Ken Paxton. Huh? What y'all doing? No, because it's always the conservatives. It's always the conservatives talking about the educational system. And that what y'all teaching the girls down there? Huh? What y'all teaching the girls down there that is a safe harbor at night for Ken Paxton? He wouldn't be able to kick no game around here. I tell you that right now. I tell you that right now. It may be some play for pay or something like that, but it ain't gonna be no. Huh? I was mad when I sat right here and I found out Corey Mills was out here playing. I was mad at that. Ken Paxton? Ken Paxton looked like a Corey Mills that you left outside in the rain for 20 years. And you talking about years of infidelity. Hey, Angela, I wouldn't have told nobody that. Honestly, I wouldn't have told nobody that. I'd have had to take that one to the grave. I'd have had to take that one. Ain't nobody finding out. Ain't nobody finding out that stepped out on me multiple. Ain't nobody finding that out. No, we not doing that. No shame. No shame, Texas. And if there's a theme to be had, that's it. No shame. In 2018, Ken Paxton gathered his staff and with his wife by his side, confessed to them that he had been having an affair and promised to recommit to his marriage. Then the swirling allegations concerning Paxton's aide to Nate Paul brought his relationship with a former Senate aide into the national spotlight. House impeachment managers alleged that Paxton had asked Paul to hire the woman so he could move to Austin, and that Paul and Paxton had a shared secret Uber account that Paxton used to meet with the woman. A secret Uber account. A secret Uber account. Wait, you only get a secret Uber account if she's checking the phone. Angela, you was checking the. You know how embarrassing that is that you got to check Ken Paxton's phone? You know how embarrassing that is that you got to check Ken Paxton's phone? Hey, I'm sending love. I'm sending love and light to anybody that is in Texas who lives in Angela Paxton's district. I question the judgment. I question her standards. Her standards are wild. You know what I mean? I feel like y'all could aim higher. I feel like y'all could aim higher because her sights is way too low. If that's what she do, she can't be a good public representative with that level of self-esteem. She can't. She can't. Let's just call that what it is. Ain't no way. Paxton's messy divorce has not gone unnoticed by his Republican rivals for the Senate. In response to a February 8th post by Paxton on X claiming Cornyn will lose the race by huge margins, the incumbent senator's team fired back, "Ken, when this is over, you'll have nothing," which turns out to be the same thing you offered to give Angela in divorce proceedings. This after you cheated on her multiple times. John Cornyn. Not from you. Not from you. No. No. Not from you. No, because I just did a thorough dragging of Ken Paxton, and that also doubles as a dragging of the Texas Republican electorate that decided he was their man's. The entire MAGA movement and Trump, all, they all go down with that particular ship, but you lost. You lost. You got packed up at 8:59 when the polls closed at 9. They had the graphic with the check on Ken Paxton's name prepared probably since 8:15, 8:20. They had that prepared. First commercial break, 8 o'clock. They made a call down to the graphic. Hey, get that check ready. Get that check ready. We can't legally do it until 9. Get it ready. You lost. I don't know. Not from you. Not from you. And by the way, that wasn't even the end of it. Not even professionally or personally. You got mortgage fraud investigations in 2025, 2 weeks after Angela Paxton announced she was filing for divorce. And then in 2026, because why let 2026 go by without a scandal? Suing and investigating Texas organizations. As he campaigned for the Senate, he's used the Attorney General's office to file a flurry of lawsuits against everybody from doctors to tech companies and local school districts. How about that? He also launched an investigation into Austin Independent School District in early February over a student walkout to protest immigration and customs enforcement demanding documents from the district. Now, that was the historical record. Okay, that was the historical record. That was before we got into, the Adam Hoffmans and stuff like that, that literally is popping off this week. This week. You know how y'all like, oh, well, Trump is just a baby Christian. He turned his life around. We all said he turned his life. This week. Now, of all the things that have really blew my mind about all of this, and it's so much here, all the things that really blew my mind about all of this, and we got that comment earlier today, who talked about not only were the rumors and the stories of his infidelity public, his mistresses was public. Ain't no way in the world I'm going on record with that one. Ain't no way I'm going on record with that one. What's wrong with society today? What's wrong with society today? Huh? What's wrong with society today? I'm minding my own business. I don't bother nobody. I'm minding my own business. And I look up and see this here. Texas Attorney General caught in shocking sex scandal as details of secret affair with married Christian influencer mom of 7 are exposed. There you have it. There you have it. There you have it. Just when it can't get any more conservative. Just when it can't get any more conservative. We get a married Christian influencer mom of 7. So it's not just your marriage, it's somebody else's marriage that we breaking up now. And how in the world you got a husband and 7 kids? 7 kids and a husband. And you got time for Ken Paxton? I didn't even think Angela should have had time for Ken Paxton. You got a whole nother husband and 7 kids, and you got time for Ken Paxton? One day, those kids, and I don't know how old they are, but one day all those kids going to be old enough to understand what was happening. when they were growing up and mommy was gone. Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton, no. John Cornyn didn't answer the phone. Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton. No shame. No shame. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. And Texas too, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to understand how y'all could have gotten to a point to decide this was your man's. But this how y'all moving on the regular. This how y'all moving on the regular. He's the current attorney general. Got wife and mistresses all over the state. So this is just regular for y'all, apparently. Apparently, this is regular for y'all. But here's the thing that can't go ignored about all of this. Here's the thing that can't go ignored about all of this. As much as it is nasty work to have an attorney general, you know, a man who purports to enforce our laws, have this much baggage, both professional and personal. As nasty as that work is, what's even nastier is the same people that decided all of that was okay. None of that was disqualifying. Always jump up to pass judgment on the people on the other side of town. It's always the culture is rotten. They didn't have fathers in the home. They can't be trusted. But y'all just nominated Ken Paxton. So you remember that whole thing about how labels get attached to certain people and groups of people and strata in our society? Yeah, see, I don't really roll like that. You get to determine exactly how we characterize you. And Texas, Maga, Ken Paxton, y'all have given us all of the information on how we will characterize y'all from now on. Yeah, ain't gonna be no whole lot of judgment coming from that part of these United States after this. And I will land here. I want to give a shout out to all of the people, there's so many different people, that make a point to save the record in these moments in time where we may not be able to stand in the way of some of the darker chapters of this administration so far, but they have made a point to continue to collect information for the historical record. Lord knows that's going to be necessary when it comes to the other side of this administration. Well, that work is ongoing. We will remember. Not that I'm personally hurt by this at all. I'm not. Don't worry. This is actually a good day for Democrats, which is the craziest thing about it. I don't like the maddest people about what happened today got to be the Senate Republicans at the prospect of Ken Paxton. The maddest people got to be the Senate Republicans at the prospect of Ken Paxton coming and joining their rank. You know how bad it is? You work your whole life to get to a point where you get elected to the Senate and you got to sit by Ken Paxton. He looked like he stank. You got to sit by Ken Paxton. Y'all did that. I mean, that's if he gets elected. But I'm saying even the possibility that he gets elected, the Senate Republicans have to be the most disgusted. no, this was actually a very good day for Democrats. Thank y'all for playing. And by playing, you played yourselves. You played yourselves. But the fact that he is even a major party nominee for a Senate seat makes it an L for the entire country. And I would love to see y'all ever try and characterize somebody else's candidate or somebody else's culture after this. All right. Shout out to y'all for rocking with me on that one. That went a little bit longer than I expected it to, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Hey, when it comes to that personal stuff, hey, can y'all tell I grew up a nerd? Y'all can tell I grew up a nerd because ain't no way I spend that many nights lonely and Ken Paxton running the streets. I take personal offense. I take personal offense. Ain't no way. They was dragging my glasses. They was dragging my bird chest, making fun of how I play basketball. You know how many times I got lit up at the mall in my teen years, in my 20s? Ken Paxton running the streets? I'm personally offended. I'm offended as a man. What kind of popcorn should I get for the minute? It's going to be something. It's going to be something. And we got to make sure we get that, we got to get that whole squares about when people get packed up. Y'all got to send me some nominees for who y'all think is going to get packed up first in the midterm. You have to understand the European Americans in Texas are overly conservative and corrupt. I'm not going with the conservative. I'm not going with the conservative. And then, two, we had the comment about conservative politically versus, conservative and your personal values, right? We mostly have talked about personal values, which they also like to fight those culture wars, right? You saw him characterize James Salarico as a woke vegan. So they try and do both of those things. But even if we just talk about conservative politically, what is that? What does that look like? Conservative politically. You mean like America first? No foreign wars? Controlling the debt? That kind of conservative politically? But we signing off on Iran. And I believe I just saw a statistic that Trump is now responsible for 27.7% of our national debt after having been in office a year and change. So please go ahead and define conservative politically for me. I would love to know what that is. Got people all in the comments mad about. Shout out to South Carolina and Alabama, by the way. If I wouldn't have gone so long, I would have talked more about Alabama and South Carolina. Shout out to them. You got people all in the comments mad about South Carolina, Alabama, calling the people rhinos. You remember rhinos used to be the neocons. Rhinos used to be the people they said was trying to get us into war. Remember that? That's what a rhino used to be. What is it now? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? And yes, they out here talking about we need to primary each and every last at 35%. Good luck. Good luck. We're going to go ahead and start primarying state reps in 50 states. We're going to do that. I would love for y'all to spend y'all time now. Please do. Please do. Please do. If for no other reason, it might get you out the house. It might get you off Twitter for the first time since 2018. Please do. Do that. Constance, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Constance. Omega, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to you, Omega. You forget how corrupt the MAGA women are. Yes. Yes, that should probably be. There's been sections of videos that I've touched on it. I talked about it a lot in the religious and the Christian nationalist video. I talked about it a little bit in the Megyn Kelly videos, various Megyn Kelly videos I did, which I got another one coming, by the way. But yes, you are correct. You are correct. It's probably a dedicated video needs to be done. Thank you for actually talking about Texas tonight in this debacle. Absolutely, Lisa. Lisa, you got it. Happy to be here. Thank you, Reese, for giving facts with flair. Thank you, Katie. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All we can hope for is that Paxton is so abrasive that Tallarico becomes the obvious choice. You know what, Maga? I would have told you that he doesn't have the capacity not to be abrasive, but apparently he's able to holler. So maybe he might have a different, note that he can play that we unaware of. Apparently, apparently that's it. I watched Paxton's impeachment hearing and his acquittal was illogical and gross. I believe it. I definitely believe it. And now I'm kind of more interested in that. Now I kind of want to check that out. Thank you for your awesome election coverage. Absolutely, Lisa. And shout out to Regina for putting me on game that this was happening tonight. I have to see what's happening next week. I'm not sure what's happening next week, but elephants actually remember and know the difference between a trunk and a horn. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. I had a whole live planned, but I'm about to lose my voice. So that might I might either have to do another video. I'll figure it out. But be on the lookout for tomorrow. I'll give my response. I'm going to jazz this up because I have a bunch of videos and stuff that I'm going to throw into my official Paxton response. So be on the lookout for that. And then later tomorrow, I'll probably, we'll see. I am hoping later tomorrow to put out a video. It'll either probably be me going in on Megyn Kelly. Do you see Laura Loomer called her a hooker? Oh, Laura Loomer called her a hooker. It was one of those situations where I laughed. I was like, but I know you're not talking. Come on now, Laura Loomer. It'll either be that or I did a whole video about Trump snubbing Don Jr.'s wedding. That was hilarious. I had so much fun with that video. Oh, and if you guys haven't gotten a chance to check out my Dr. Candace Matthews Make You Taste the Ancestors video, let me tell you what that video meant to me. Because it's rare that there's like some convergence between my professional life and my personal life. And by personal life, I just mean my own personal choice, like my own content consumption. That video with the draws is like the kind of video that I would just watch on my own time. Like I was that entertained by it. I was that entertained by it. That didn't have nothing to do with the video. Well, that's going in. I had too much fun watching that one. So it made me feel good to be able to do that. Thank you for the suggestions on the honey, lemon juice, and warm water. I'm going to have to circle back around to the Menifee and Green. I don't know enough about Menifee. I don't want to speak out of ignorance. But I am sad that Al Green is that we'll lose Al Green. I mean, I am sad about that. I don't know enough about Menifee to speak intelligently on that. So stay tuned. But shout out to Miss Ray. I know Lovely Nola was here. Deshauna was here. Thank you guys so much for doing an incredible job in the chat. Make sure you like the video before you leave on your way out. I think we got a new shout out to Fast Tax Inc. I appreciate you for being here. All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow, and much love. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves on this Tuesday, and make sure you soak your feet. And if you hear anybody talking that trash about me, just remember to tell them I have daughters.